Good morning to everyone. I'm Dr. Sumi MS. The name of the course is Object Oriented Programming, and today's lecture topic is Super Keyword from Unit 2 Inheritance Packages and Interfaces. On completion, the students will be able to understand the application of super keyword in subclasses and also be able to describe how super keyword is used to invoke superclass constructors, member variables, and methods. Super keyword. It is a special keyword that directs the compiler to invoke the superclass members such as methods, variables, constructors, etc. It is used to refer to the parent class of the class in which the keyword is being used. So once a subclass is making use of the super keyword, it can access the member variables and methods of the superclass. Super keyword is used for the following three purposes: in order to invoke superclass constructor and also to invoke superclass member variables as well as methods. Invoking a superclass constructor. Super as a standalone statement with parenthesis represents a call to the constructor of the superclass. So here a subclass can call a superclass constructor by the following form, that is super. Following that, we have the parenthesis in which the arguments are being given. The parameter list specifies any parameters that is needed by the constructor in the superclass. And super keyword must always be the first statement executed inside the subclass constructor. The compiler here implicitly calls the base class no parameter constructor. Invoking a superclass members, that is variables and methods of the superclass. So for assessing the instant member variables of the superclass, the following syntax is being used: super.member variable. Similarly, in order to assess the methods of a superclass, the syntax is given as super.method name and parenthesis. This call is particularly necessary while calling a method of the superclass that is overridden in the subclass. If a parent class has a method called finalize, it can be explicitly called by the subclass using the keyword super dot the method name. Let us see a program where A is the base class or superclass. It has an integer variable I, and also there is a superclass constructor in which string arguments are being passed. And following that, we have a superclass method show. Now let us create a subclass for the superclass A. So subclass B is extending the superclass A, and it has the integer I variable, and also there is a subclass constructor in which two integer parameters are being passed. Following that, using the super keyword, we are invoking the superclass constructor, and also we are assessing the member variables of the superclass. And the method of the superclass can also be overridden using the super keyword. And then in the class useSuper, there is the main function in which we have created an object for the subclass, and using that object we are also passing integer values to the constructor. And here, using the new object created, the superclass method show is being called in the subclass. In the above program, we have created the base class named A that contains an instance variable I and also a method show. Here the class A contains a parameterized constructor that receives a string as parameter, and also it prints the string. And class B is a subclass of class A which contains the instance variable I, and also it overrides the superclass method show. The subclass defines the constructor with two integer parameters A and B, and the subclass constructor invokes the superclass constructor by passing the string to it and also assigns value A to the superclass variable and B to the subclass variable. And the method show of the subclass prints the values of the I from both the superclass as well as subclass, and also it invokes the superclass method show. So in the main class, object for subclass B is created in order to call the method show. Quiz questions on super keyboard. Write down the syntax of super keyboard. List down the use of super keyboard. Thank you.